I said, now people get ready for the train to Jordan. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Faith is the key that'll carry you over. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord and then you ride. I said, now people get ready for the train to Jordan. Don't need no ticket, you just get on board. I said, now faith is the key that'll take you over. You don't need no ticket, you just get on board and then you ride. Oh, you ride. You better ride. Come on and ride. Train, come on. You better ride that train. Come on.
Hello, Robin. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. How you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing really, really good today. Um, we got a really good topic today.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of, it'll touch your heart. Today we're talking about, uh, I think they call it, I'm going to say his name right because I'm old. Little Ronnie and his daughter were shot at the car wash on March 3rd. And you and I talked a lot about that, and we decided that we did want to tackle the subject of violence in our community and just kind of have that discussion. And I want to be really clear today is I think this is a touchy subject because there is a perception of the Black community, and um, I don't want to give any air to some of the perceptions that a lot of violence in our communities, a lot of this. I don't want to feed that narrative, and in the same breath, we have to talk about this. But I think this is a real delicate subject.
Right.
I think it's not talking about it. I think it's how we talk about it.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
looking at the picture holistically and not just, and how this is impacting our community holistically, and then what's contributing to this. Robin?
You're definitely right. This is a subject that is it's a touchy subject. It's real, but we have to be careful how we present it because it can make people think that our community is the only community that have violence in it, and that is beyond the furthest thing from the truth. But it is definitely something that needs to be talked about. It needs to be more done about violence in our neighborhoods, especially with our youth. Um, we just need to come together as one, as a community, and see what we can do to help lessen the amount of violence we have in our neighborhoods.
um, I think hidden voices is all about educating and trying to help to identify the framework and the foundations that create certain things in our community. And so I think today is two parts. You got the hard part, but I do want to share information about how does this touch on everything And how does it touch on everything and a lot of the things that our kids are experiencing and that we are experiencing? This is not a vacuum where it's, where it can be just fixed. Me and you always talk about layers, and I think there's a lot of layers to this, and I have no doubt in my mind that we don't have the answers, but we do have some insight on how some of this has evolved in our community. And I want to definitely share that. Before we share that, though, I want to put some faces. I want to put some faces to the people that this has impacted in our community. So, Robin, I'm going to play a video, and I just invite everybody to stay for the entire video and to watch it. I know some of our videos, we have a lot of, we try to share information and we have narratives, but this particular video, I think, will speak for itself. So we don't have a backup narrative or anything like that. So give me a moment and we will share this with you short in just.
Master, the tempest is raging, the billows are tossing high. The sky, shadow with blackness, no shelter, or help is nigh. Careth, these are disciples, y'all. Now that we perish, oh, how can thou lie asleep? Yeah. Everything obeys Jesus. All he had to say was, peace be still. Peace be still. Oh, peace be still. Father, we need your peace tonight. Peace be still. We need your peace in our homes. We need it, Jesus. Can I get a witness to wave your hand tonight? If you need it, Father, we need it in our school, Jesus. We need it in our jobs. God, we need it in Jackson, Mississippi. Peace be still. Yeah. Whenever the Lord said, I want to tell somebody tonight, I don't care what the devil said, I don't care what the devil did, you're leaving with peace. Matter of fact, by the time you get back to your address, you ought to walk in your house and say, thank you for peace. God, I thank you for peace. You've been a good God. You've been a good God. Anybody know all he gotta do is speak peace. I don't care what it looks like, you're gonna have it. Matter of fact, you already got it. Can somebody wave your hand, lift up your hand, and thank God. You've been a good God. We thank you for peace. need you to put your hand in the neighbor's hand, squeeze her hand. Hey, can you do me a favor? I wish I could touch everybody, but can you look at them and say, neighbor, I want to let you know something. Tell them, first off, I love you. But say, neighbor, I don't care what you've been going through. Say, neighbor, whatever you've been going through, I'm getting ready to pull you out. When I count to 3, I just want you to pull your neighbor and give God a ridiculous peace praise. Pull you.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, whew, that was powerful.
That was.
I didn't expect to start this podcast. I being a big baby today, but that was
Yeah.
powerful. You know, the thing that I don't get is why people don't see the ramifications of taking someone's life. Even though our youth are they're taking someone's life, once you get caught, put in jail, prison, convicted, you're also taking yourself away from your family. So, as much harm as you're trying to cause to the person that you want to unalive, you're causing just as much pain to your own family. Um, so it's a vicious cycle. You may think it only affects a few people, but it's also going to affect you and your family. And I don't know why that's so hard for us, for people to get through their head.
Well, I think that there's reasons for everything, and that there's layers, and I really believe there's more than, hey, y'all get it together. I think that there are a lot of things we need to talk about today, and one of them is there is 340 million Americans. Black people only account for 12% of that, which is out of 340 million Americans, there is only 40 million black people in the country that's identified as black or African American or whatever. So that's only, that's a very small number as compared to like white Americans, or what's considered white, which is like roughly 197 million people. Now, you would think, okay, so it's 40 million people, but you have to think about how that impacts us. We are these, other than Native American and Asian, we are really, out of the big three, which would be Hispanic, uh, black, and white, we are the smallest population of people, and we get the least amount of resources for our community. And so I think this stuff is interconnected. It is not just, oh, get it together, but what is placed, what has been going on in throughout generations, with gentrification, with redlining, with lack of jobs, with a limited education. These are not excuses. These are not excuses. These are actual facts. I mean, if
Hmm.
we look at the actual numbers, in which I love data. So if we look at the numbers, then we can see how we can start to grasp how this is how this is affecting our community, and how this is affecting kids. A lot of times we'll say, well, we need to go and do this, and we need to do this in the community. But the grants are temporary. Most of the people, a lot of people that apply for grants, they get them on a temporary basis. It's not really for some long term. And a lot of times we don't have the infrastructure to get the types of grants that we really need to make a huge impact in the community. And I mean, I can bear that out with how much money is actually spent, how much money is actually spent on those things. Where did I have that? Hold on. Here we go. In this country, there is $115 billion spent on policing, but education, 79 billion, housing, 40 billion, mental health services, 15 billion. The money, and that's for the whole country. So, you know, I'm not saying that money is the only thing you need to fix it, but if the resources are not there, and if the investment in the community is not there, then it becomes a bigger challenge, which leads us
Mhm.
to who have we always depended on? Ourselves. It is really about grassroots. Nobody's going to save us at all. Never have and never
Mhm.
will. It's about grassroots and getting out there and taking the resources and pooling our resources together as much as we can. But some of it's not even about money. It's about love and caring. But
Mhm.
we have to understand how we fit in this system, and then the dysfunction, that the system is dysfunctional, and we have to understand that, and understand that this is really complicated.
It really is. And you talked about the community, and it is a bigger, it's a bigger scope, it's a bigger picture. You talk about the community, and I remember when growing up in the community, we had recreation centers, and we didn't have one or two. We had basically one in each so many feet within a community. So there might have been four or five community centers within walking distance. Now we don't have that. We wonder what are our kids going to do? They don't have anywhere to go, anything to do. And when they get older, there's no jobs for them because there's no major grocery stores in the low income community. There's no major food chains. There's no like Walgreens or CVS stores in our communities. So the kids don't have anywhere to work when they do get of age. So they find other things to do, which are not more than likely productive. Like you said, there's no resources. No one is allocating enough money to fix our neighborhood up. And then when they decide to fix it up, they come in and they gentrify it. Well, when they gentrify it, it's not what I've seen is it's not an environment for a teenager to work or high school because it's mostly bars, more high end, low to mid high end restaurants where children don't work. So it is a bigger picture to this. So where do we start? What do we do? How do we help our community?
And
You know.
I don't honestly, I have no idea. I know some things that I've done when I was younger, in my 30s and 40s. Me and Brian would allow kids to come to our house, and me and him together have been. My mother used to think I lost my mind. We had invested our energy and our time in over 100 and something kids. So much so that where we were living, they asked me, did I want a community center? Um, and it was hard work. And I'm not suggesting that anybody do that. But what I learned from that experience was that these kids had somewhere to go. And I like to cook a lot. And we would always have like stuff for them. And I had the kindergarten kids, and then the kindergarten, elementary kids, and then they come through and get my kids and go to school. Then the junior high kids, and then the high school kids, and it's just a ton of them. I know all of them to this day. Over 25 years, I still have a relationship with them. But that's not something that everybody can do. I'm not telling everybody go out and find you 100 kids to. Actually, I started it so I could keep up with my own kids, and it just kind of ballooned. But I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that. But I'm saying right now, this is hard work. Trying to do something positive in our community after we've worked all day and after we, because you got to take her home. You got to make sure that your
Right.
kids have the values. But then we are black. A lot of us, we know our history, and we have stretched. We know how to stretch beyond, and it's not for everybody. It's just a layer. There's not one answer to fixing the issues in the black community, the social, economic, education. There's not one area. And so we have to figure out what we're good at and then go to that particular area and invest our energy and our time.
Right. And I heard a guy talking one time, and he was talking about a lot of times our kids don't know where they're going if they don't know who they are. And that takes me back to the school system. A lot of time, there a lot of stuff they're taking out of the school systems, teaching our children, and they're not teaching them correctly. And the things that they're giving them are not enhancing them as an individual, as a minority, um, as someone that is capable of being and doing anything they want to do. And with that being said, we have to encourage our kids at home that they are valued, they are loved, they are important, and they are capable of doing and being anything they want to do. So allowing our kids to understand who they are so they can understand what they're capable of doing and where they're capable of going will also enhance their life. So that may be a start as well, something that we can do from home.
And I think that's easy for the people that have that in them. But then when we're talking about generation after generation, if I wasn't showed it, and then I really don't know, and everybody's not the same. And so some of this stuff is passed down from generation to generation. And how you get the attention of the parents really take patience and skill and a lot of patience to change some of that. Some of this stuff is learned from one to the other because that's how that they even know.
True.
For the parents that care and want to do this, they're going to do it. But then that's the other ones may care but may not know how to show it, or may know that this is my way of survival. This is how I survive, and I'm going to teach my kid to survive like this. Hustle, get on the grind, get your money, that kind of stuff. Because I'm not seeing the jobs and the things like that in the community, and I had to get up and take care of you, and I had to get on my hustle, so I'm going to pass that down. And so then it behooves us to get with that parent and try to work with them to have a paradigm shift and see things differently. But that's a whole educational process, and you're going to receive pushback on that. So it has to be somebody, it has to be people with patience and understanding and ability to be able to communicate, and relate, and not be on your high horse and come down, and be able to relate to people where they are. Um, so,
And
this is a really, really complicated issue. And what we're not going to do is just say, all our kids are bad, or this is the problem with the Black community. We need to come together and we need to do this. It's not that simple.
right.
It's just not. We want, no, it's a bunch of people, but we're spread out. We have social media, which feeds us a lot of miseducation. It glorifies a lot of things, that's not productive in our community. And so this becomes really complicated. And when you add the fact that there is no real investment from, there's no real investment in our community to help us to uh, to support our efforts, because I'm not going to say help us, to support our efforts to improve our community. It is on our backs. And
And
I
you're absolutely right.
admit,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you said earlier, we've always done it. We've always done it for ourselves. And at this moment, I want to give a applaud and a shout out to all the I'm gonna say all the Tammys of the community. 'Cause Tammy, as long as I've been knowing, like she said, she's always uh taking in kids, and I used to think I used to think she was crazy for taking all these kids in. And a lot of times you tell me stories of the lady that was the Tammy in your community who
yes,
you would say bring in kids, give them a meal, buy them a pair of shoes if they didn't have it, babysit a child because a parent had to go to work and they couldn't afford daycare that day. So I just want to give a applaud to those people that are in the community that are doing things in that way. You are appreciated and you are valued too. So, someone might not say it or someone might not see it, but God looks high, sits high and looks low. He sees it. So we just want to appreciate you for giving back to your community.
it's funny. These kind of things are passed down through generation. When I was growing up, I had a lady, Miss Brenda, and Brenda would do everything in her power to keep us out the street. So they taught us how to play spades and pinochle and dominoes and all these things. And we would sit in their house, and before we knew it, It would be night, it would be dark or almost dark, and it'd be time to go home. They kept us so active, and I learned from someone, and I always call her. The kids used to tell me Miss Tammy, and I used to say I had my Miss Tammy too. I learned from her, and that's the way that these things go. They are passed down through generations. Now I'm older, like Miss Brenda got older, and so I see some of the kids that I've helped over the years. I see them giving back and doing various things, and I love to see their success. I want them to surpass me by leaps and bounds. Um, but that thing is passed down, but you got to have that in your mind. And you got to grow up in a foundation that's conducive to you being able to feel good about yourself and to feel that you matter and that you're important and that your voice matters. And everybody just does not have that.
True,
And some
true.
parents even want to give it to them, but they're just busy and they got a lot of work to do and they're just trying to keep a roof over their head and food in their mouths. And that's where we come in. And we gotta understand that nobody's gonna fix this for us at all. And the only people that can fix this is people coming together, black, white, Hispanic, whatever, coming together and identifying those areas that are really, struggling, and then a plethora of people come in and help in different areas. And I don't know how you get that done across the country. I don't know. We don't have the number of viewers to get that message out, but that is a message that needs to get out. And we need to listen to
Definitely
the
right.
people doing this every day. They're struggling with these and not understanding these various levels. And speaking of levels, Robin, we came up with something so that we could even dig deeper down into um, some of the different areas that's affected and why. And if you don't mind, Robin, then we can put that up and you and I can kind of go through this with them. Go
Okay.
through this. Okay. Because,
Okay.
opinions are great, but data is even better. So, I'll do this one, Robin, and, we'll see if you want to do the next one. The, the black on black crime narrative. That is, when we think about Ronnie, and then it was two, well, I think they had two boys that they've either arrested, two young men that they've arrested, or when we think about that, and then we say black on black crime, where there is white on white crime, Hispanic on Hispanic crime. I've even heard people say, oh, you protest everything, but you don't protest black on black crime. I don't know if we should be protesting black people on black crime. I think we need to be coming up with solutions how to mitigate that and lower make a real impact on it. Getting out in the middle of the street protesting black people or black kids or black young people or disenfranchised people just doesn't sit well. The problem with this black on black crime narrative is it's used often to deflect from what the real issues are. And like I said earlier, most crimes are intraracial, white on white, Hispanic on Hispanic, black on black. That's just a false narrative. Um, Now that doesn't mean that black people don't do things to black people, and it's just the number and where we're trying to go, where we're having this impact, where it's having an impact on the narrative of right now. I know it's a big emphasis on buying black, improving our economic status, uh, being self-reliant, and when we have black kids or black people doing these senseless murders towards each other, it takes away from the bigger picture, which is the bigger narrative. And we do protest violence, and we don't specify. We protest by. We have anti-violence protests all the time, but just to get out and protest against young black people that often are uneducated, have no money, very few role models. I don't know about that. Um, it encourages when we say black on black crime. It kind of gives the nod that often results in increased police brutality and and because inadvertently, I think that contributes to that narrative. So the real question is, why does society only bring up black on black crime when we demand justice from police killings? And that's when you see it. When you see that they that there is a cry for something that's police crimes, or you see that there is a cry for not profiling or whatever. First thing that comes up often is, oh, well, you didn't say anything when y'all over there killing yourselves. Well, I don't think it's race standing up saying anything when they're killing themselves in that context. But we are saying something, Robin.
Yeah. Uh,
This is
yeah. I'm sorry. You gonna say something?
can you see that, Robin?
Yes. Um, that you are correct when the narrative and it's definitely a distraction from the bigger picture, and it's reinforces the stereotypes that black people are the only one who are fighting in the neighborhood against each other. um, Juveniles, they do our juveniles are lead, I think let me see my statistic, what was it? It says 52% of the arrests of black youth accident are accounted for 40%. They make up a 40% average out of the youth in our United States. But our black youth, they're 54% more likely to be arrested. They have 45% more arrests among white children, but the black children are there to be the more criminal of the group. Even though they have the lower amount in there, they are known to be more of a criminal and criminal statistic. And like I said earlier, when our children, when the crimes are in our community, it hurts us economically because, like I said, there's not any chain stores in our community. There's a lot of times there's not even grocery stores that are in the vicinity because those places don't want to come where the crime is high. But if we did have those places in our community, it might be a chance that it lowers the crime rate because it gives more jobs, more opportunity for advancement to make money, bring money into the home, and just environmentally making the community more economic for different for the community. Then we have the gentrification, which destroys generations because it's pushing out different generations, pushing out the families. They have to move further out to a community that they're unfamiliar with, which the community that they grew up in, it's demolished and taken over by the gentrification. Um, that also goes. This is something I really want to talk about: is the school to prison pipeline. This is where they started a statistic years ago where they would go into an elementary school and they would count the number of black boys that they had. And they would do a statistic on how many prisons they would need depending on how many black boys were in that neighborhood. And at this time, saying that, I want to give a shout out to a couple of ladies, Miss Shaquitha Kelly, Amber Givens Davis, Elisa Green, and Stephanie Mitchell. These ladies are lawyers in our Dallas um, court systems, and they also have a organization is called Pipeline to Possibilities. And what they do, they're not only doing their thing in the courtroom, but they go into the schools. They talk to the children about, they educate them on the justice system, and they inspire them to be better students and better people in the community so they can become successful adults. So I definitely want to give a shout out to those ladies because, like I said, no one has the answer. Everybody has to work together and do what they can. And these ladies are doing their thing. And hopefully, we have more people out there that are in the limelight, that are making strides in the community to help the community, help our environment. Hopefully, they're doing things to help the communities as well.
So before we go any further, I want to please encourage people to tell others about Hidden Voices, to always remember to to share, like, and subscribe, and to please pass the word about, like, we're not, what I always say, we're not entertainment. We're about educating ourselves as well as others. Violence in the Black community doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's tied to our history, inequalities, systematic barriers that keep the community struggling. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to bring it up again. And I want to tell you what the definition of mass murder is. When they talk about mass murder, they're talking about anytime that more than three people are murdered in a day. That is the definition, according, I mean, there's the definition. I can give you the resources of a mass murder. So when we see drive-bys and four and five people are shot or murdered, that is the definition of a mass murder, which we want to have a lot less of that in the United States, period. And we definitely want a lot of less of that in the various underserved communities. We were saying earlier, as of 2024, there is 340 million Americans. For 12% of that, 40.8 million of them are African Americans. And did you know homicide is the number one cause of Black males dying between the age of 19 and 34? We saw that on that tape, all those young people dying. And 59% of kids, regardless of the race, who die in mass shootings are killed by family members.
Mm.
And that's which talks about, which leads us to domestic violence, and the other, people are going through all kinds of things and not learning, don't harm the ones you love. It's just a lot to this. Robin, or you want me to do this one, Robin, because it's the
Oh,
Jewish?
you can go ahead.
Okay, and I'll give you the next one. um let's talk about something. I think that 40%, no, 40 million people are African American. It wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that where our numbers were so low, because there were different races of people: Italian, Jewish, and now if you'll notice, there's some Hispanics people that are being considered white. And what happened was, after the 40s, before the 40s, you had the Jewish race, the Italian race, the Hispanic, the Black, the Native American, so forth. And after the 40s, particularly after World War II, and a lot of people came back here, um, the Italian and the Jewish race got blanketed in as the white race. And it was an effort to make those numbers a lot more. Prior to 1940, and so these people, Jewish, Italian, they were experiencing a lot of the same things that we're experiencing. But after 1940, all of that changed. For instance, in the GI Bill, because they were blanketed into the white community, they were able to get the homes, a lot of the VA benefits that did not go to the Black community. From prior to the 40s to now, we're still at, and we are maintaining at 12%. Whereas the white race was like at 79 million or like that, and then everybody else was broken down. Now it's from 79 million to 197 million. And if you think that there's no way that we can't understand that there is a backlash to that on us, because we are not the numbers, and we're not included in those numbers, and we never have been.
Mm.
And this is just a breakdown to just give you a kind of a visual. The gray would be uh, the white community, and then here we are. But now this is like three or four different races. And even recently, the Hispanic race, if you notice on things, it'll say they got two kinds of Hispanic, and it'll say Hispanic not, I don't remember what it is, but and then Hispanic kind of white. And so a very close friend of mine who's Hispanic was explaining this to me about Hispanics being blanketed in that as well. There you go, Robin.
Okay, with the black man incarcerated, 1,826 black men incarcerated out of 100 million. That's a lot. That's a lot. Wow.
And that is a lot. When we are the yeah, and
This
when we are the
minority.
lowest number, when we are the
Hmm.
lowest number. So if it's 1,826 out of 100,000, when we are the lowest number, that's a lot. That's a big chunk out of our numbers. Whereas Hispanics are 757, which is the next highest, and then white is 337. So a lot of our men, with 40 million, portion of that is little kids. So if you look at
Hmm.
that, and then out of that number, 1,826 out of 100,000 are in prison. That is a huge number. It is a huge number in the black community.
It almost triple the white, and that's the thing that I was going back and saying. Out of, with our youth as well, even though there's a makeup of the 52%, 45% of our kids are in course incarcerated, and it's only 50% of the kids, and we make up 45%, and that's just in adolescence. Same thing with adults.
And so our kids are heavily affected by gun violence, and we all know that. So that's
Hmm.
another piece. And all of these are just showing you that this here is 60% of youth affected or involved in gun violence. 60% is what that black is.
Hmm.
And we talked about this earlier about where the money is going. And as you see, it's not, you don't see a lot of, you don't see up in this numbers of investment in improving our communities.
And then with that being said, if you go back to that number, those numbers, look at those numbers. And our White House is trying to decrease those numbers by billions, billions. And we're
Yeah.
already at a very low amount for education and housing, mental health. Breaking the cycle, community based investments. Whew, we have to invest in our own community. And you're seeing it every day. What we were talking about the other day, about a group of people that got together and went bought a apartment complex in their community, because we have to do it ourselves. We can't rely on them. Like you said earlier, they've never came in to assist us in improving, so we have to figure out a way to help our own community. Mental health. Mental health definitely is something that is needed in our community. It's something that we, as a community, as a people, we within the years have just started making it okay to seek mental help, and they're trying to take it away when it is definitely needed in this day and time. Economic justice and reparations. Hmm.
And
I don't
our
think
folks,
that's
I don't know about reparations, but
I don't think
economic
that's ever going to happen.
that's never going to happen. But do fight, do we have to create our own economic uh, justice
Yes.
in some ways, like creating black job shopping with under shopping in the inner cities and things like that. We're going to have to stop spending our money in places that don't respect or want us, and start to spend our money, in our community, and invest in our community, as well as advocate for the mental health services. And it's up to us to rewrite this narrative in these communities.
Hmm.
So how do we break the cycle? We
Mm,
don't know, but what we do know is that the economic, the judicial, the justice, economic justice, policing, lack of resources, all of these things are contributing, and they're the powder keg that creates a little Ronnie and his daughter, where the all the where that kind of thing can happen, and it's unfortunate. And we have to come together and figure out how to do it, how to make an impact. And it is a journey, and it's not one answer, because we don't want to demonize our own communities when our communities are lacking so much, and we cannot lose sight of that at all.
hmm. Uh, I get the thought that I had right now is we've been focusing a lot. Well, I've been focusing a lot on our youth, but our adolescent, but the suspects who took the lives of little Ronnie and his daughter were not adolescents; they were young adults.
Mhm.
We have a lot of young adults that are taking people's lives. A lot of young adults in the prison system, um, and it's getting worse. Um, I don't know where to start. I don't know how do you tell yourself to get a grip on it. How do you tell someone to get a grip on it?
I don't,
It has to stop. It just I don't know. It has to stop.
but I still believe that it's a very complicated problem, and it's gonna take a puzzle pieces to fix it, not just one pie. And it's going to take people that are really strong in some areas to focus their energy on that. Maybe the young adults, other people focus on kids, others on the family unit, the churches in the community. I don't know if I'm not. It just depends. I don't think any of those are all good. Some are bad, some are good. But the ones that's good and the ones that want to really trying to see change, um, we have to continue to encourage each other. And it starts with me and starts with you, and trying to limit the putting down of each other, but rather the building up, and as well as educating one another for years now. And what led us to some of this is the fact that we weren't interested in listening to history either. We were tired of that, and we thought all these stories were only about us being slaves. And right up under our nose is redlining, and all of this is happening because we, you know, slip the school system. And I know I admire teachers that go in this school districts and try to teach kids under the system that we currently have. So it's not a teacher batching, but at the end of the day, the education is just not what it's supposed to be. I bet teachers would say that. And then the challenges that they face, especially if they don't have the support of parents and things like that, who also would need some level of education. So this problem is really, really complicated, but I do believe we have fixed so many things. I mean, we are the community that had Black Wall Street. We are the community that's picked ourselves up from nothing. I mean, from having nothing to building communities around. So I believe in our community. I just don't want us to be accepting all the false narratives about black on black crime, about us, about we're violent, our communities are violent. Yeah, there's violent things that happen in our community, but they happen in other communities as well. The problem with it happening in our community is that, again, we are only 12%, and we have no resources. We have limited resources. I won't say none. We have limited resource and very little interest in how, if our community improves. A lot of times if they come in and improve our communities, because we're about to get moved out. So there's very little interest, and it has to come from within. And it's really good seeing that I'm hearing and seeing more Black people have podcasts, more people talking about investing in our own community. This number is really high compared to what it was years ago. or a few years ago.
Hmm. Hmm. I like to do a little research on where they feel like our children are getting these guns. I know they're plentiful, and like I say, you can get a gun easier than you can get a backpack of gum, pretty much. But it's very interesting how easy it is for our children to get hold of these guns. And just the thought of a child picking up a gun, thinking that it's a toy or thinking that it's okay, or they want to play with it, or they want to scare somebody, they didn't really mean to shoot it. Accidents happen, things happen in the midst of a moment. Be careful when you're in the presence of a gun. Uh, it's This is just really mind-boggling that we continue to see these numbers every day rising with brutality, mass shootings, mass murders every day, and it's not just with our adolescents; it's our young adults. And just going back to the young man that took the life of little Ronnie and his daughter, it was senseless. It was just senseless. Every day there's some type of murder, killing that is senseless and unnecessary.
And isn't
And
it a
it,
challenge trying to get that message out and still not demonize our community? It's hard. It's hard.
it's hard.
Um, what else? So on another note, because we only have a few minutes, I wanted to talk about some books that I've written, and I wanted to share them uh, on this podcast. And I'm going to share them quite a bit. I think because we always have new people. And I do want to uh, get the word out about these books because I think that each and every one of them have a very good message for our community. So I'm going to talk. I'm going to share. I'm going to share my the first book I've written I ever wrote, and I actually expanded this book. So I'm going to share that one last. Uh, Want to, and if you're interested in these books, I mean, I'm always on Facebook. The link you can go on YouTube. The book. I'm encouraging people not to purchase my book this week because it's on Amazon, and we're not purchasing anything on Amazon from March 7th to March 14th. So I'm definitely encouraging people not to even consider buying my book this week. But I'm really thinking about. I'm really working on having another platform for them, but that's a process. So let's share it. So the first one I'm going to share is Trinity's River. This is some right. This is an actual excerpt out of the book. Trinity is a civil rights attorney, and I'm going to share it with you right now.
Her voice steady and commanding.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here because power, unchecked, becomes poison. Because greed without accountability breeds monsters. Because entitlement without empathy erodes the very foundation of justice. And because no man, not even a black thorn, is above the law.
She paused, letting the words settle like a weight on the shoulders of those present.
For too long, we have watched men like William Blackthorne wield power like a weapon, carving out empires built on exploitation, deceit, and violence. We have watched privilege shield the guilty while the innocent was left in ruins. And worst of all, we have allowed it. Something is devilishly wrong when men like Blackthorne have the power to turn ministers into soldiers, while the voices of mothers and fathers all over the world cry out in desperation and praying for relief from the evil he embodies.
So Trinity is a dynamic civil rights attorney that actually goes up against a CEO of a corporation that basically hires people of color that are brilliant in an effort to destroy their careers and destroy them personally as well as professionally. And she is the attorney that goes up against him. The next book that I want to share, and I really love this book. You will notice there is a trend because I typically like really strong women. So, and they have strong men as their supporting cast. But the women is uh they're running the show in my books. So it's Fire Unfinished.
Burned for generations through 246 years of enslavement, where our bodies were traded like currency, where our names were stripped and our spirits tested, through 406 years of struggle, where laws were rewritten to cage us in different ways, where power was hoarded while we built the foundation of this nation with our hands. They stole, they silenced, they tried to shatter us, but the fire did not die, it only spread. From plantation fields to battlefields, from whispered prayers to shouted protests, from blood-stained streets to the steps of power. And now it is our turn to carry the fire forward, not because we are broken, but because we are unyielding. Naomi saved us all, every race, creed, and faith. She saved this nation, proving that justice is not owned by one people, but belongs to all who stand against tyranny. She lets the word settle, heavy with meaning. The greedy wear suits, the power-hungry smile in our faces. The takers wait in the shadows, not to strike all at once, but to turn the clock back 1 second at a time. They are the ones who worship unbridled power, feeding on the labor of others. They are crafty, slick, and deceitful, hoping we won't notice until we wake up in the nightmare we fought so hard to escape. Thinking we will forget, thinking we will surrender, thinking we will lose. Her hands clench, her voice does not waver. We have paid the cost in blood, in tears, in stolen years, but we never surrendered, and we will not start now.
Wow, that's wonderful. I just love your illustrations. They're really good.
Fire Unfinished is about a very strong woman that becomes a warrior in the United States for the fight for freedom and equality for not just our race, but for every race. And she wins the battle. I just want you to know, but boy, what she go through. So you have to see it for yourself to see how she wins, and I'm not giving that away. And so that's Fire Unfinished, and the first one was Trinity's River. And so here's my love, Rub Sage. Rub Sage is a book that I originally wrote, I think around 2004, 2005, I think 2004. And I actually always felt like I that it could be expanded, that it needed to grow. And so I actually went in and really became one with Sage again, and really built it to something that I'm very, very, very proud of. Sage is a homeless lady, and it's all about redemption and and I'll show you the title here. I don't have a tape for that one. I actually just recently finished it, so I'm working on the marketing piece of it, but it is available to purchase. And this is Rub Sage. And Sage is a homeless lady. And this book has so many twists and turns, and it's about redemption. It's about um, getting a second chance, at least thinking we get a second chance, or maybe she did, only to a point. But um, this book was good the first time, and I believe it was really good the first time, and I think it's even great. I think it's great now, and I think a lot of people could relate to this. It's a very um, plain spoken uh, book. Each one of them, I think, is about 300 and some pages, and very plain spoken, very relatable. I bet all of us know somebody like Sage in our lives. So that's Rub Sage is the last one. Like I said, all of them are up and available for sales. Next month, I'm looking at having a book sale, a brunch with wine and cheese and nice conversation. And promoting, or maybe I won't do the wine. I don't know, but definitely having cheese and brunch and little trays or whatever at a really nice place where we could um, promote the book and also talk about the different books. And these are all relatable in my opinion, but then I'm the writer, so hey. Thank you, Robin, for allowing me to do that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for those books. They're great reads.
Robin, your minute.
Okay. Thank everyone for joining us this evening. Like we stated before, we don't have the answers. We don't have the answers for the problems that we face. This is very close to me because I was a single parent with a son, and it was definitely hard raising him, trying to get him to the point of not needing to be in that lifestyle. Uh, it's hard. I want to say to our men, our adolescents, our children, our boys, I love you. We love you. Picking up a gun is not going to solve your problems. It's going to lead you down a road of a bumpy road of a rough, unwanted, problematic down slope. Look at someone that loves you, maybe your mother, a sibling, maybe you may even have children already. They love you. They don't want you to be gone from their lives. And picking up that gun and using it, it definitely take you out of the lives of the people that love you and care about you. If you use that gun, you're not only hurting the person that you use it on, you're hurting your family. You're not serving that time by yourself. They have to serve that time here at home with heartache, pain, and loneliness. With that being said, you are loved, you're valued, and you're appreciated. Please put down the guns. Thank you again for joining us and have a great remainder of your week. Good night.
So I'll take a little bit different approach and talk about the power that we have individually, and how we can make change. There's nothing special. I mean, I think I'm special, I do, but I mean, there's nothing unique or special about me. We just wanted, Brian and I just wanted to try to help a few kids, and sometimes that's all it takes. It just takes caring, and you don't have to be well spoken all the time or all of this. It's about giving something. If even if you're putting it in your kids to give in the future, but it's about taking that better part of yourself and putting it in your community, and not so much, and not being so judgmental, but actually starting to think about, how can I be part of the problem? There was no reason for little Ronnie and his daughter to die. We have to come up with something, and it may just be little nuggets. We might just be that little chocolate nugget in the community that will make a difference. And as many of us that can make a difference and spread this word, you all, a lot of us, if you're on YouTube, you got a platform of some type, more than likely. Spread that it is our responsibility to fix our communities, and we can't look to others to do it, and we can't stand on the sideline and say, oh, you bad kids, y'all did this or y'all did that. There was no reason for them to die. And I think that there is I think that we have the power individually to make an impact, and we don't know what lives we may be saving just by being in someone's life in a positive way. We thank y'all so much for joining us. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Uh, thank you for staying with us the entire hour. We truly appreciate it, and we wish that everyone have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Monday. And bring others with you. We really appreciate it. Good night.
short. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. I said, now faith is the key that'll take you over. You don't